That year, my parents passed away and the company was on the brink of bankruptcy. I heartlessly cut ties with my sister during her darkest hour. 5 years later, her company went public. Her stock soared, making her a massive success. The legendary CEO Huo, admired by everyone. A reporter asked her who she was most grateful for all these years. Her eyes grew cold and mocking. You mean that brother who abandoned me for money? Wrong. He's not my brother anymore. Who knows how he's living? The reporter replied. We've searched for him all over social media. We even offered a 10 million RMB reward, but no one found him. We only found a diary he left before he passed away. When the reporter handed it to her, she froze, her hands trembling, but a moment later, she threw the diary straight into the trash. Another one of Huo Nian's little tricks. Or did you guys stage this just for views? The reporter shook his head and carefully picked up the diary. This really is your brother's last possession. His body has already been cremated. Since no family claimed him, the crematorium handled it themselves. Before he could finish, my sister stood up in a rage. Don't think staging this life and death drama will make me forgive him? Tell him I have a new brother now. He's nothing to me. Even if he's really dead, I don't care. The reporter held the diary awkwardly. So how do you want to handle this? Huo Wandu sneered. Read it. Let's see what else he fabricated. Hello, diary. From now on, I hope you'll be my companion. Because you're all I have left. Let me tell you. Today, I took the gifts my parents gave me and ran away. While sneaking out, I was caught by my sister. I didn't want to face her. I just wanted to leave quietly. But she was so persistent. She held my hand tightly and wouldn't let go. She said I was her only family. At that moment, my heart ached. But I stayed cold. The company is bankrupt. How are you going to support me? Do you still have money to buy the model cars I like? I'm used to spending big. Can you handle that? Instead of suffering with you, living like a cheapskate every day, I'd rather find a sugar mommy to take care of me. I've already got a lead. Hearing that, she panicked even more. She kept asking who it was, telling me not to get scammed. She promised she'd work twice as hard and make lots of money, so I could live comfortably again, but guess what I said? I'd rather be scammed. What's it to you? If you're so capable, if you have the money to support me, then I'll come back and be your good little brother. But when will you ever have money? A proud person like her actually knelt down to stop me. She looked so pitiful. I turned away, wiped my tears secretly, and slapped her. I told her to stop clinging to me, and not to ruin my future. I even declared we were cutting ties. That slap left her stunned. She stood frozen, watching me pull my suitcase away. I'm sorry, sis. That must have hurt. After reading this page, the reporter took a deep breath. I didn't expect CEO Huo to be so dependent on her brother. But when he looked at her, her face was still cold, showing no emotion. She said indifferently, I regret it. I regret being so good to him back then, only to raise a viper in my bosom. Fine, turn the page. Let's see what else he can come up with today. I went to the hospital first. I hope the previous diagnosis was wrong, so I can go back and apologize to sis, as long as I back down. She'll forgive me eventually. But miracles don't exist in real life. The doctor asked sternly, where are your parents? He said it was liver cancer. Primary stage 4. You need to be hospitalized immediately. I don't know much about medicine, but the fear of death made me burst into tears. You're only 18. The doctor looked at me with pity and handed me the bill. I ran to the payment machine to check. In the end, I snuck out of the hospital. That card was linked to my sister's account. Better to save whatever I can for her. I'm dying anyway. Why waste her money? The money she earns isn't easy to come by. Ever since the contractor ran away, the project collapsed and the funding was cut. My parents scrambled everywhere for help until they died in that accident. All the burdens fell on my sister's shoulders. I saw the debt collectors with my own eyes. They cleared out everything in the house. Sis knelt and begged them, just to keep the money for my studies abroad. In the end, the bank still seized the house. To pay the debts, she borrowed from everywhere. She drank with clients until she got a stomach hemorrhage. No money, no time. She'd wake up at noon and head straight back to work. Humbling herself to beg people, I cried and begged her to rest. She said she was made of iron and she was fine. Diary, isn't she a fool? I wanted to share her burden so badly. I wanted to say, I don't need to study abroad. I can handle the hardship. I could have worked part-time to support myself, but life had other plans. Of all times, I caught the most expensive disease. Diary, I'm so useless, aren't I? The reporter's eyes grew red. It seems your brother had a reason for leaving. To be stage 4 at such a young age. Huo Wandu laughed coldly. What a performance. Reporter Lin, don't be fooled. Huo Nian is a master manipulator. When he was a kid, he faked a sprained ankle just to skip school, making the whole family panic and rush him to the hospital. His acting has always been top tier. I lost sleep again last night. It's not that I didn't want to sleep, but the pain was unbearable. The illness is getting worse. I can't stand it without painkillers. But I'm out of money. The more urgent issue is the rent. If I don't pay, I'll be kicked out onto the street. Looks like I'll really be sleeping under a bridge soon. When I was a kid reading wuxia novels, I thought heroes sleeping under bridges looked so cool. Now that I'm older, I'm terrified of being broke. I had to put the gifts my parents gave me up for sale. They're the only things I brought with me. But every time someone asks to buy, I find an excuse to refuse. Honestly, I can't bear to sell them. Finally, driven by pain and hunger, I withdrew 500 RMB from the card. I'm sorry, sis. I've spent your money again. Ever since I became poor, my picky eating habits suddenly disappeared. When I was so hungry I almost fainted, I even picked a dirty bun out of the trash to eat. I have bigger things to worry about. If I don't pay the rent, I'll definitely be kicked out. Seriously, I'm about to experience that cool bridge life I promised as a kid. Back then, wuxia stories made it look badass, but now that I'm grown, I fear being broke the most. I had to list my parents' gifts for sale. They are the few precious things I managed to bring. But when buyers ask, I make excuses. I just can't let them go. Finally, starving and in pain, I withdrew another 500 RMB from the card. Sorry, sis. I used your money again. After hitting rock bottom, I realized my picky eating was totally cured. I was so hungry I almost passed out, so I picked up a dirty bun from the trash. Someone threw it away, but it tasted great. It didn't taste like 0 RMB at all. It was actually delicious. It seems poverty can cure any young master illness. I went to the supermarket for a bag of mantou and a bottle of water, then to the hospital for painkillers. The rest is for rent. My teacher called again, urging me to study. A top student like me suddenly dropping out isn't right. I'm afraid he'll find sis, so I formally withdrew. But he called her anyway. Just now, she called me, her voice as cold as ever. Huo Nian, I know you want nothing to do with me anymore. I don't care which woman you're clinging to, but you shouldn't give up on your studies for someone like that. Studying was your pride. Doing this, are you even worthy of our parents? It's only been 10 days since I heard her voice, but it feels like a lifetime has passed. I covered my mouth to keep from sobbing, but the tears just wouldn't stop. Sis, I miss you so much. On the other end, she lost patience and said one last thing. If you keep this up, I really will leave you for good. She hung up. Diary, I cried for a long time. Maybe I should just block her number. I'll go through the dropout process tomorrow. The reporter saw CEO Huo dazed for a moment. He paused to wipe a tear from his eye and turned to the next page. Diary, I moved. That old hostel was 50 RMB a night. Too expensive. I've been running around the city all day. Finally, in a remote slum in the south of the city, I found a new place for only 31 RMB. There are 4 beds in the room. Across from me is a weird uncle. At first glance, I was really scared of him. I looked at the girl downstairs gratefully. Her name is Xiang Yang. She looked up, smiled, and told me not to worry. She'd protect me. She's so kind. That night, I took my meds and slept soundly. I had a dream. Mom and Dad were taking us to Disneyland. Knowing you liked Iron Man, she waited in line for hours just for you. When it was finally her turn, she called your name and pushed you toward the Iron Man cosplayer. You finally got that photo with your favorite hero, smiling so wide your eyes practically closed. Mom, Dad, and Sis stood right there, watching you happily. But once the photo was done and you turned around, everyone was gone. The bright blue sky suddenly turned pitch black. You felt terrified, but no matter how hard you searched, you couldn't find them. You woke up with a start, drenched in cold sweat. She looked at you worriedly and asked if you were okay. You shook your head. She asked why you lived here. You told her everything. You didn't know why, but you trusted her completely. After listening, she didn't say a word. She just pulled you into a tight hug. Her embrace was so warm. She told you she was an orphan. After being adopted, she was abused by her foster father. She couldn't take it anymore, so she ran away. Still in her teens, she had to hustle in the real world, crossing paths with all kinds of people. She learned plenty of skills to protect herself. She said a guy like you needed her protection. She taught you so many hacks to save money. Going to the supermarket to pick out items that were just past their expiration date. Some stores would give you a little compensation money. Others wouldn't, but they'd let you take the expired goods home for free. And then there was going to the market to pick up vegetable leaves that housewives threw away. Trim off the bad parts, blanch them in boiling water, and you've got a meal. Yang even took you to do part-time jobs for extra cash. In just one afternoon, you earned 60 RMB. Holding that money, for the first time, you felt like you weren't useless. You thought that if you could earn this much every day, after you're gone, you could even leave a little something for sis. Thinking of this, you couldn't help but laugh out loud. Xiangyang looked at you like you were an idiot. You're this happy over 60 RMB? She lightly tapped your forehead. She told you that you were such a loser with no ambition. Besides having to watch out for that weird old landlord every day, you had to rush to wash up and go to sleep. Because the hostel cuts off the power and water at 10 p.m. Living at the hostel during this time was actually quite happy. It's almost lights out. Reporter Lin noticed that when reading about the perverted landlord, even the cold CEO Huo silently clenched her fists. He thought that perhaps CEO Huo didn't actually hate her brother as much as she showed on the outside, but in a flash, he felt that maybe that was just his own imagination. He turned to the next page. Continuing to read, Diary, I moved out. Because yesterday, Xiang Yang found out. She clearly has no savings. Yet she still wanted to take me to the hospital. Before that, I hadn't told her I was sick. I just said I fought with my sister and moved out, but I couldn't hide it from her. Maybe I really am a jinx. I don't want to make her suffer, let alone burden this. Righteous sister I just met. She once told me she was saving money to open her own balloon shop one day and have a home of her own. I won't let you die so young. When she said that, her eyes were so determined. I smiled and nodded. But in my heart, I thought, goodbye, sis. Early the next morning, I packed my few belongings and quietly left. Writing in this diary makes my legs feel a bit numb. Let me rest for a moment. My health has been getting worse lately. I've started vomiting blood. Just now. I couldn't hold it back. Passers-by saw me like this and were absolutely terrified. They stood far away, pointing and avoiding me. I curled into a ball and didn't dare look up for a long time. Until I noticed blood had dripped onto the diary. I tried to wipe it away quickly, but the stain just spread further. Sorry, diary, I got you dirty too. I didn't mean to. The pain was truly unbearable. As I crouched on this ground to dull the pain, a woman in tattered clothes walked up to me. She stuffed some money into my hand. No matter how much I refused, she just threw the money down and ran. I followed her quietly and found her with her disabled husband. The husband was holding a very small child. She tucked back her hair, kissed the baby's cheek, and went back to work selling fruit. I stood there waiting for a long time until it was pitch black. I was half frozen from the cold. More than half the fruit was still there. She let out a long sigh. Her husband whispered some comforts. The two of them started packing, putting the baby in a basket next to me. I pulled my hat low and walked past. While she wasn't looking, I stuffed that money into the baby's clothes. What a performance. I almost felt touched. He's a rich kid, isn't he? Out of money, so he starts writing a novel to make cash. Reporter Lin, there's no need to read further. I feel ridiculous sitting here wasting so much time. If he wants to fake his death and hide from me, then I'll just treat him as if he's actually dead. I don't care anyway. After saying that, she stood up and walked away. With zero hesitation, the interview abruptly ended. However, this interview segment became incredibly viral. People dug up news from 5 years ago. After CEO Huo cut ties with her brother, she frequently visited a psych clinic. They speculated that due to the loss of her parents and her brother's betrayal, CEO Huo had suffered from severe depression. After the company took off, she adopted another brother. Meanwhile, the diary of CEO Huo's brother caused an even bigger stir among netizens. Some cursed the brother for being a clout chaser who dared to fake his death. Years ago, he abandoned his own sister for money, leaving her alone to face the bankruptcy crisis, causing her massive mental trauma. Now that she's successful, he's playing the victim to get sympathy. He even wrote a fake diary like this. Too bad CEO Huo already has a new brother. I heard she booked an entire amusement park for his 18th birthday, and even gave him a limited edition supercar. She treats him like royalty. Others feel like there might be a hidden truth behind this. The diary is written so realistically and the emotions feel so sincere. They don't believe someone who wrote this could be a gold digger. Regardless of the reviews, netizens were eagerly waiting for the next parts of the diary. To capitalize on the hype, TV station reporters contacted CEO Huo, once again asking if she'd agreed to make the diary public. Whether it was misfortune or she genuinely didn't care, CEO Huo's assistant stated, CEO Huo said the diary has been handed over to the station. You guys handle it. She has no opinion on whether it's published or destroyed. He added, CEO Huo insists her only brother is Huo Wu. Some netizens were gleeful. Let's see if the old brother can keep acting. She doesn't care about him at all. After obtaining permission, the TV station soon broadcasted a live program called Huo Nian's Last Diary. On the screen, the reporter solemnly greeted the audience. I haven't pre-read the contents. With CEO Huo's authorization, I will share this with our live stream viewers today. I hope everyone will be kind in the comments. Immediately, hundreds of thousands of people entered the live stream. In less than a minute, the number surpassed 1 million. Everyone was waiting for reporter Lin to open the diary. As for the Huo household, Assistant Lin looked at CEO Huo with a complex gaze. After some hesitation, she spoke up. CEO Huo, the program is about to start. CEO Huo didn't even bother looking up. I told you I don't want to hear any more news about him. Reporter Lin took a deep breath and opened the diary. Diary, today I found a puppy. I didn't plan on taking it in, but it kept dragging its injured leg, following me. I thought, looking at my own state, I can't possibly take good care of it, so I tried to walk away. But after 2 steps, I turned back. The moment I picked it up, the little golden puppy's eyes lit up. It kept licking my palm. I sighed. It definitely saw that I'm a softie. I named it Longevity. I hope it has great luck and doesn't live a short life like me. I took it to the vet. Just the checkup wiped out my savings. The surgery later cost 2,000 RMB. Without it, he'll die. Looking at Longevity in my arms, I begged the doctor, "Can we wait a few days for the surgery?" The doctor said I couldn't delay any longer. Tomorrow at the latest. I held Longevity and left the vet's office, sitting dazed on a street corner. I told him, "You're so stupid. Out of all the rich people, you didn't follow them, but chose a dying person like me instead. And on top of that, I'm this broke. Where am I going to find 2,000 RMB for you?" The little dog didn't understand a word. He just wagged his tail happily, celebrating the fact that he finally had a home. Looking at him, my eyes stung again. So I had to go to the ATM, hesitating, wanting to withdraw 2,000 RMB for the very last time. "Sis, this is the last time I'll spend your money, but I didn't expect you to have blocked my supplementary card." My heart tightened. I was the one who said I wanted to cut ties, so you had no reason to give me money to spend anymore. I never intended to contact you again, but I had no choice because of Longevity. I took your contact info out of my block list and called. The dial tone rang for a long time. Just when I thought you wouldn't pick up, you finally answered. You scoffed coldly. "Regretting it already?" I really didn't expect you to take the initiative to contact me after blocking me. Didn't you say you wanted to sever our relationship? Or are you out of money again? The moment you spoke, every word I planned to say got stuck in my throat. I wanted to hang up immediately, but Longevity in my arms reminded me why I was here. "Transfer me 2,000. You were silent for a moment, then questioned me. "You haven't contacted me for so long. You don't care if your sister is eating well, sleeping well, or if she misses you. All you want is money, right?" I bit my lip hard. The bitter taste rising from my throat was forced back down. I answered mechanically, "That's right." You seemed to choke up. "Fine. You want money, right? I'll give you everything. Are you satisfied now? I shouldn't have expected anything from you." "Huonian, you really have no heart. From today on, we are no longer siblings." You hung up. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I collapsed to the ground, hugging Longevity, and vomited blood. So much blood. But when it hit the dark pavement, it seemed like nothing could be seen clearly anymore. Longevity seemed terrified. He kept whimpering and licking my cheek. I patted and stroked his head. It hurt, but I was already numb. Perhaps my heart hurt even more. Checking my phone, I saw you sent 20,000 RMB. When I tried to send the extra back, I found out you had blocked me. I hugged Longevity and cried for a long time. I knew you really didn't want me anymore. Before, I hoped you'd forget me, that you'd cut me off. But now that you've actually done it, it hurts so much I can't breathe. Longevity, we don't have a home anymore. The comments on the screen were scrolling at lightning speed. Why is this so heartbreaking? Even if this story is fake, it's way too moving. I'm already in tears. Keep going. What happened to Longevity? The little dog couldn't speak. He was just overjoyed to finally have a family. At this point, a few people were still calling Huonian an actor playing for pity, but compared to before, they were just grains of sand in the desert. Right now, everyone seemed more concerned about Longevity's safety. Under everyone's urging, reporter Lin steadied his emotions and turned to the next page, Diary, Long Time No See. "Let me tell you some good news. Longevity had his surgery. He's healthy now. He's such a clingy little dog, though. Everywhere I go, he follows. Even when I sleep, he has to snuggle up against my leg. But there's some bad news. My illness has worsened. I don't know how much longer I have. Maybe not even a month. Now, every time I go to the pharmacy for a large amount of painkillers, the clerk looks at me with suspicion, thinking I'm an addict. Luckily, I still have my diagnosis papers. After begging, for a while, they felt pity and sold them to me, but the meds are losing their effect. To get even a wink of sleep, I have to take more and more. Yesterday, while I was out passing out flyers, I suddenly fainted on the sidewalk, which scared Longevity to death. He kept licking my face and barking loudly for help. Finally, a kind person took me to the hospital. I had to pay more fees. I'm so stingy with money. I calculated that not only did I not get my part-time pay, but I lost a huge chunk of cash too. You need to be hospitalized immediately, and we need to notify your family. If this continues, you'll soon... He didn't finish, but I knew what he meant. I mumbled a few words and hurried out of the hospital. Hospitalized? No way. It's too expensive. At the hospital gate, I saw Longevity waiting. The moment he saw me, he dashed over. But by nightfall, the pain was so bad I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Longevity sensed my agony and started panicking. But he couldn't do anything except press himself tightly against me and lick my face as if he were about to cry. I weakly raised my hand to comfort him. I'm fine. But the next second, I couldn't help but rush out to the toilet and vomit uncontrollably. It felt like I was throwing up everything inside my body. I don't know how much time passed. I vomited until the world was spinning. Later, I woke up thanks to Longevity's licking. Looking in the mirror, I even scared myself. I look so hideous. My hair is thinning, my face is sallow, and my once chubby cheeks are so gaunt my chin looks sharp. Sis used to tease me, saying this baby face lacked any authority. But now, my face will probably stay at this age forever. Staying young forever doesn't seem like such a good thing after all. I wanted to grow up slowly and stay by your side, watching you succeed and find your perfect happiness. I washed my face and patted my cheeks. Cheering myself up has its own perks. Luckily, you can't see me like this. Otherwise, you'd probably be scared to death. After taking the painkillers, I forced myself to sleep. In the middle of the night, I started running a fever. Diary, it hurts so much. Honestly, I miss her. I miss her so much. I want to see her one more time. Just a glance from afar would be enough. A wish like that isn't too much, right? I have to go out and see her. I'll take Longevity with me. So I prepared a hat, a mask, and a black windbreaker. I look pretty cool, like a paparazzi. I just need one look from afar. Diary, I'm back. She's as beautiful as ever. She looks much more capable, but she's gotten thinner. I intended to just look once and leave immediately. But she didn't look happy at all. She used to smile so much. Instinctively, I followed her. I didn't know why she went to the hospital or why she was getting psychological treatment. After she left, I asked her therapist. He wouldn't tell me. He said it was patient privacy. Only after I begged him repeatedly. Did he sigh and tell me about her condition? Sis is sick, very sick. Our parents' death was too big of a shock for her. And my leaving made her blame herself even more. She felt useless for not taking good care of me. She thought that's why I hated her and left. Because of that, she even started self-harming. I cried, but then I laughed through the tears. Sis, you're such a fool. It was obviously because I'm useless. I only bring you trouble. You are the best sister in the world. She saved up her allowance for a whole year just to buy me an expensive birthday gift. She even beat up the bullies who picked on me at school until they couldn't crawl back up. Even though she faced disciplinary action for it, she handled everything after our parents died, bearing all the pressure alone. Yet she still let me have my own life. How could I ever hate her? Reporter Lynn suddenly stopped and held the diary up to the camera. Everyone noticed that on this page, besides the slender handwriting, there were blurred spots where the paper had soaked and then dried. He must have cried for a long time. Tears had drenched this page. Reporter Lynn's eyes also turned red as he struggled to steady his shaking voice. I'm so useless. I can't do anything. I watched Sis walk right past me, but I didn't have the courage to step up and hug her. The moment our eyes met, she looked away. She didn't recognize me anymore. Well, given my current ghost-like appearance, it's better if she never sees me again. I don't want to make her sad. Diary, I've made up my mind. Instead of letting this pain torture me to death, I'd rather take the initiative to end my own life. Do you think I'm doing the right thing? I'm truly losing my mind from this illness. I talk to you and Longevity all the time, as if you guys could actually answer me. But what about Longevity? I can't just abandon him. I want to give Longevity to Sis so he can be her companion. That way, he'll be looked after. I'm so smart. But then I remembered, tomorrow is my birthday. I'll hold on for one more day. I don't want to die on my actual birthday. Like my 17th birthday last year. My parents had ordered a custom gaming setup just for me. It was a limited edition. After I unboxed it, Dad patted my shoulder and laughed, saying I was the coolest kid. And Sis, she got me a mechanical watch. It was so shiny and clearly worth a fortune. But those gifts were all seized as collateral a long time ago. Now, the things I have left are just worthless trinkets. I take them everywhere. Even when I have no money for food, I can't bear to sell a single one. At bedtime, I hug the brown bear that Mom bought me when I was 8. It feels like I'm hugging her. Mom, Dad, and Sis all said that for my coming of age, they'd throw a massive party to celebrate their little master turning 18. But now, it seems Longevity is the only one by my side. I hold him close. He's the only warmth I can feel. Longevity seemed to sense my mood. He started using his wet tongue to lick my palms and my cheeks repeatedly, as if trying to warm me up. It tickled, and I smiled, giving him a kiss. I carried him to a bakery. I wanted to buy myself a small cake. I used to not care about the 3-tier cakes my parents got me. Now that it's been so long, I'm actually drooling for a taste. Looking at the prices, several hundred RMB. I hesitated for a long time. The clerk impatiently asked if I was buying anything. If not, then get out. She glanced at a Longevity in my arms and said pets weren't allowed inside. But I had just seen a guy carrying a poodle in there. Maybe it's because Longevity looks too dirty. I don't have the money to take him to a pet groomer. I apologized profusely, then ordered the cheapest chocolate coffee cake. It cost 20 RMB. I found a long bench in the park. I sat down with Longevity in my arms. Since there were no candles, I just made a wish in my heart. I closed my eyes and wished for Longevity to always be safe. I wished for my sister's ultimate success, A long life and a lifetime of happiness. Opening my eyes, I fed the cake to longevity. He ate it happily, as if he were celebrating my 18th birthday for me. I was clearly starving for it, but after just a few bites, I had to lean over and vomit it all back up. Finally, I took longevity to a pet shop for a bath. It cost me 200 RMB. The owner said he'd never seen such a well-behaved dog. I picked up longevity, now clean and smelling fresh. I took a deep breath of that scent. Longevity is a gift from God. Now I want to give this gift to my sister. I hope she can take good care of him, and I hope he can stay by her side in my place. I still have 20,000 RMB on the card. I'll sneak it through her door too. If everything goes as planned, I won't be writing in this diary anymore. Tomorrow, I'm going to another world to see my parents. Diary, I'll miss you. Longevity, I'll look over you and sis too. I will always, always protect her. Just when everyone thought it was over, reporter Lin instinctively turned the page and found more writing. I'm sorry, Longevity. It's my fault for not taking care of you. Does sis think you belong to someone else? Or does she just not want you? I hid nearby, wanting to wait for her to take him before I left. But Longevity broke free from his leash and ran toward me. If only I had handed him to her personally, then maybe he would have been okay, right? I couldn't stop crying, begging him not to leave, not to go. But he just struggled to lift his head, let out a whimper, licked my face, and closed his eyes forever. I held Longevity and sang to him. Good little puppy, hurry and open the door. I sang and sang until the tears took over. I buried Longevity in a small patch of land near my parents' grave. The moon isn't full tonight, but it's bright. I can't wait for the 15th anymore. Longevity, wait up, don't run too fast. I'm coming to find you now. And mom and dad too. Goodbye, goodbye everyone. Reporter Lin finished the diary, his eyes blurred with tears. Meanwhile, the live comments exploded. What? Longevity is dead? And Huo Nian is dead too? This author is too cruel. Dying is one thing, but why kill the dog too? What did the puppy do wrong? Poor Longevity. Don't use a dog to make me cry. Is this Huo Nian guy really dead or is this fake? This is just a show effect, right? Someone tell me. According to police records and our investigation, Huo Nian passed away 5 years ago. This is not a performance or a fake death. The dead deserve peace. Please be mindful of your words. As for this diary, we will keep it. We will not respond to any other related questions. Thank you, everyone. Then, reporter Lin ended the live stream. Netizens' curiosity wasn't satisfied, so they flooded CEO Huo's Weibo with private messages. The number of searches and comments on her profile was so high, it hit the trending list. Hashtag CEO Huo's brother Huo Nian has passed away. Hashtag Huo Nian's last diary. Hashtag is the diary content real? Hashtag. The sister who appeared in the diary earlier posted something online. Nian is gone? I'm so sorry. He left without saying goodbye. I searched for so long. It's my fault. If only I'd taken him to the hospital sooner, he wouldn't have left so early or suffered so much. Most people were still skeptical until she posted a photo of them together. The boy's radiant smile in that picture perfectly matched the photos of Huo Nian that had surfaced earlier. Everyone finally believed her. The internet community was devastated. They realized the diary was 100% true. The whole internet began mourning Huo Nian and Longevity. Keywords started trending. Nian, Longevity, we're bringing you home. Nian, Longevity. Are you two doing okay in the other world? Eventually, the news reached CEO Huo's assistant. She stared at her phone for a long time. After hesitating, she spoke. CEO Huo, 5 years ago, did you see a dog? A pale yellow one? CEO Huo looked at her in confusion. After a moment, she nodded. That day, coming home from work, I saw a puppy leashed to a pole by the entrance. It was pale yellow with a pink nose, very clean and cute. I could tell it was a pet dog with an owner. I remembered Nian loved animals, so I went over and petted its head. It was so good, wagging its tail at me the whole time. I figured the owner would be back, so I went inside. Shortly after, I heard a commotion outside. I looked down from the window. A young boy was holding the dog and crying in the street. Crying so heartbreakingly, he must have been the owner. I heard that because the dog couldn't find its owner. It got anxious, snapped its leash, and was hit by a car. The assistant was stunned. Suddenly, her phone rang. She looked down at a file that had just been sent. Her heart sank and CEO Huo, I'm so sorry. I've been secretly investigating the diary and your brother's whereabouts. He really is gone. The police department registered his death certificate 5 years ago. It's real. It can't be faked. He committed suicide by poisoning. That diary, it's real too. After saying that, the assistant didn't dare look at CEO Huo's reaction. She tapped on the trending tags. Please look. This is what Huo Nian went through. His diary went viral today. I thought you should know. At the door, she added, your brother, his life was truly not easy. Walking out of the office, Assistant Lin gently closed the door. After that soft click, the world seemed completely shut out. Only Huo Wandu was left in the office. With the investigation files that felt like they weighed a ton, the air turned stagnant. The forced coldness and indifference she'd maintained popped like a balloon, instantly deflating and vanishing. She didn't even have the courage to open the file right away. Her cold fingertips just brushed the rough edge of the paper. In her head, images from the interview played involuntarily. When the reporter took out that diary, her heart had tightened unnaturally. Hearing the contents, the small doubts she'd suppressed, and the stabs of pain, and that sentence, I wanted it to be her companion. So longevity would be looked after. Back then, she thought it was just a clumsy lie from Huanian. Now, they were like poisoned needles, piercing her heart one by one. Finally, trembling, she opened the file. The first page was a copy of the death certificate from the police station. Stark black and white, cold template, name, Huanian, gender, male. Date of death, autumn 5 years ago. Only 3 months after their last phone call. Cause of death, location, found in a small forest by the river in the outskirts. Near the place mentioned in the diary, right next to where his parents' ashes were buried. Found by an elderly man walking his bird in the morning. Since no one claimed the body, the funeral home cremated him according to regulations. Ashes were kept for a term, then disposed of ecologically. Every word was like a dull knife sawing at her heart. The phrase, no one claimed him, turned into a fiery slap, landing hard on her face. What was she doing back then? She was drowning in her own rage and pain from being betrayed. Maybe she was receiving treatment at some psych clinic. Maybe she was forcing a smile at some corporate banquet. Maybe she hadn't even thought to verify if he was actually living safely somewhere. Attached were low-res copies of the scene photos, but they were clear enough. A boy so gaunt he was nearly unrecognizable was leaning quietly against a tree wearing the black windbreaker mentioned in the diary. His hat hid half his face. Empty medicine bottles and used-up sleeping pill blister packs were scattered at his feet. In his arms, he was tightly clutching a brown teddy bear that looked very old. Huo Wandu recognized it instantly. It was the birthday gift Mom gave him when he was 8. Turns out, he had been carrying it with him all along. There was also a photo of the scene where the diary was found. Right next to him, wrapped carefully in a plastic bag, as if he feared the night dew would ruin it, even in his final moments. He protected this diary until the very end, the only thing that kept him company. While Wandu's breathing became rapid, her vision quickly blurred. She suddenly clamped her hand over her mouth, but there was no way to suppress the broken, agonizing sobs rising from deep within her chest. The tears she thought had long run dry now flooded out, burning her skin with raw emotion. Nian, Nian, sis, Nian, Nian, she bit out. Her voice was so raspy it didn't even sound like her own. It wasn't a pity play, it wasn't a lie, he really was sick. He really had fallen into extreme poverty. Truly, in the final years of his life, he endured the torment of illness and the coldness of the world. Yet his heart was always filled with thoughts of the sister who failed him. It was her. He deliberately said those horrible things, using the most hurtful way to push her away. Not because he didn't love her, but because he loved her too much. So much that he'd rather bear all the insults and pain than become a burden to her. And what about her? What did she do? She fell for his act. She hated him for 5 years. Even when she received news of his death, she still said those cruel words. Even if he dies, I won't care. She adopted a new brother, trying to shift her feelings to fill the void. He left behind, without ever truly investigating his decision back then, a massive wave of regret and guilt. Submerged her like a rising tide. She remembered those last words. He choked out, I've returned everything to you. Are you satisfied? I shouldn't have expected anything from you. Huanian, you really have no heart. Then, she decisively hung up and blocked his number. When he heard those words, how much pain must he have been in? Did he cough up blood right then? Was he holding that little dog, Longevity, crying uncontrollably? The long-suppressed agony finally erupted from her throat into a mournful wail. Huo Wandu couldn't hold herself up anymore. She slid off her chair and collapsed onto the carpet. Like a lost child, she curled her body up and sobbed hysterically. Those cries were filled with despair, self-reproach, and irreversible pain. She slammed her fists against the floor, her nails nearly digging into the expensive fibers of the carpet. I could have saved him. I should have recognized him. Why didn't I recognize him? That thought repeatedly gnawed at her mind. That day at the psych clinic. The person in the mask and hat, so gaunt he was unrecognizable, whom she thought was a paparazzi. That was her Nian Nian. He looked at her like that, yet she coldly looked away. If only she had stopped her pace then. If only she had stepped forward to ask. If only, but life has no. If onlys. Outside the office, Lin Yi, Li, and the secretaries heard the desperate sobbing from within. They looked at each other, eyes full of worry and empathy. But no one dared enter to disturb her. They knew CEO Huo needed this release. She needed to face the truth head on. Huo Wandu cried for Hunanotsu. Hunanxingtianso. Until her voice was gone and her tears seemed to have run dry. Only uncontrollable shudders and gasps remained. She collapsed on the floor, staring blankly at the grand chandelier on the ceiling. It felt like the entire world had lost its color. The next day, Huo Wandu didn't show up at the office. Lin Yi handled the urgent task with great concern and arrived at Huo Wandu's villa at dusk. He used a spare key to open the door. A strong smell of alcohol hit his nose. The living room was a mess of empty wine bottles rolling everywhere. Huo Wandu was still in yesterday's office clothes, huddled in the corner of the sofa, hair disheveled. Her eyes were red and swollen, with dried tear streaks still on her face. But her hand was tightly clutching that copy of the diary. CEO Huo, Lin Yi called out, cautiously approaching her. She slowly raised her head, her gaze vacant. It took a long time for her to focus on Lin Yi's face. Lin Yi. Her voice was so raspy it was barely audible. Does he hate me? In the end, did he hate me? Lin Yi felt a sharp pang of pity in his heart. He crouched down. He gently took the empty wine bottle from her hand. CEO Huo, based on the diary, Mr. Huo Nian never hated you. Until his very last breath, he only wanted you to be happy. Happy? I lost him. What right do I have to be happy? She reached for the bottle again, but Lin Yi held her back. CEO Huo, you can't go on like this. If Mr. Huo Nian saw you self-destructing like this, he wouldn't be able to rest in peace. Huo Wandu's tears began to flow again. He was always so afraid of pain. When he left all alone, he must have been so scared. Even longevity wasn't by his side anymore. In the end, he was just holding the teddy bear mom gave him. She couldn't continue. Silent tears fell. It took Lin Yi a lot of effort to help. Huo Wandu to her bed. He gave her some water and watched her fall into an exhausted sleep. But her brow remained furrowed. Lin Yi let out a sigh. He knew Huo Wandu needed time. But at this rate, what would happen to the company and her own health? In the days that followed, Huo Wandu seemed to become a different person. She stopped going to the office and refused to handle any work. She locked herself in the villa all day, finding companionship only in wine bottles. She tried to use alcohol to numb herself, but in her drunken haze, Huo Nian's image only became clearer. Him as a kid, following her around calling sis in a soft voice. His stubbornness during his rebellious phase, and that gaunt back. At the very end, clutching the puppy and sobbing in the dark. Her adoptive brother Huo Wu video called from abroad. Looking at his face, which somewhat resembled Nian Nian but was well groomed with her money, Huo Wandu suddenly felt a surge of intense disgust and guilt. What was she doing? Finding a replacement? This was unfair to Huo Wu. And to Nian Nian, it was a complete betrayal. She looked at the worried face on the other end of the screen, then screamed in a loss of control, leaving Huo Wu terrified and confused. Not long after, she arranged for Huo Wu to go to a prestigious boarding school abroad. She paid his tuition and set up a trust fund, large enough for him to live a worry-free life. In the email to Huo Wu, she wrote only one sentence. I'm sorry, I'm not a good sister. Go live your own life. She cut ties with this substitute. As if doing so could somehow lessen the debt she owed her biological brother, the company's performance plummeted, and shareholders were complaining everywhere. Even the media began spinning stories about CEO Huo's mental breakdown for personal reasons. Lin Yi was busy beyond belief but couldn't wake up. Huo Wandu drowned in sorrow and self-blame. The turning point came late one night. Huo Wandu was drunk again on the living room carpet. In a daze, she saw Huo Nian standing right in front of her. He was wearing a crisp white shirt, his smile as bright and warm as in his youth. At his feet was a pale yellow puppy wagging its tail happily. Longevity, sis, the vision of Huo Nian spoke. His voice was gentle. Stop torturing yourself, okay? Nian, Nian. Huo Wandu reached out, but only grasped thin air. Tears immediately blurred her vision. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I never blamed you. The vision's smile was as warm as ever. Seeing you so successful now, I'm really happy and proud. Sis, please live a good life for both of us. Be truly happy, okay? That is my greatest wish. Nian, Huo Wandu wept silently. Promise me, sis. The vision began to fade. The voice also drifted further away. I promise you. I promise. Huo Wandu cried out desperately. She suddenly bolted upright from the carpet. The living room was empty and silent, with only moonlight streaming through the window. There was no sign of Huo Nian. But that dream was incredibly vivid. Nian Nian's words seemed to still ring in her ears. A wave of extreme sorrow hit her once more, but this time, amidst the grief, there was a faint but firm strength. Yes, Nian Nian wanted her to be happy until the very end. If she kept self-destructing like this, Nian Nian would be heartbroken watching from heaven. She couldn't let Nian Nian down. She couldn't let his sacrifice be in vain. Early the next morning, when Lin Yi arrived at the villa full of worry, he was stunned to find Hua Wandu already up. She had showered and changed into clean clothes. Though her face was still pale and haggard, her eyes were no longer a void of death, but carried a cold, ruthless clarity. Hua Wandu's voice was still raspy but very calm. Lin Yi, contact the best private doctor. I want a full health checkup. Also, notify the board of directors. There will be an online meeting this afternoon. CEO Huo, I'm okay now. Hua Wandu interrupted him, her gaze resting on the bright sunlight outside the window. Or rather, I have to be okay. For Nian Nian, and for redemption. With extraordinary willpower, Hua Wandu began her journey of recovery. She actively cooperated with her doctors. She quit drinking and made an effort to eat and sleep, regularly forcing herself back into the rhythm of a normal life. She threw herself into her work. Handling everything with strictness and efficiency, the company's situation quickly stabilized from its downward spiral. But those close to her could feel that the CEO Huo, who once had a bit of warmth, was gone. The current her was like a cold, precise working machine. It seemed only endless work could fill the hole in her heart. But besides work, she began a silent and persistent search. She wanted to find Huo Nian again, to find every trace of his final days. She wanted to know how he really lived. During those years she was absent. First, through Lin Yi, she found Xia Yang, the one who posted online. In a quiet corner of a cafe, Hua Wandu met the woman who carried a weary, world-worn air about her. Xia Yang looked at Hua Wandu with a complex gaze. There was empathy, reproach, and a slight sense of relief. CEO Huo, you finally come. Xia Yang sighed. I tried looking for you once, but your assistant blocked me. I really thought you didn't care about Nian Nian anymore. I do care. Hua Wandu's voice dropped, carrying a tremor that was hard to miss. I was just blind. I was a fool. Please tell me everything about Nian Nian. Xia Yang looked at the seemingly powerful woman before her, yet deep in her eyes was an infinite sorrow. Her heart softened, and she began to recount the story, starting from that cramped, messy room in the slums. She spoke of Nian Nian's innocence and stubbornness, how he coughed up blood but refused to go to the hospital. She told her how she'd pried until she learned he had a terminal illness, how she'd taken all her savings, wanting to get him treatment. That boy was too sensible. So sensible, it broke my heart. Xia Yang's eyes reddened. He always said he didn't want to be a burden. He said my money wasn't easy to earn, that I should save it to open my repair shop. When he left, he only took a few clothes and that old teddy bear. I searched for him for a long time after that. Everywhere he might go, hospitals, parks, under bridges, but this city is just too big. I couldn't find him. Xia Yang choked up. If only I'd watched him a bit closer. If only I had forced him to the hospital. Hua Wandu listened silently, her nails digging deep into her palms. It turned out that while she was resenting him, a stranger like this had given him warmth and brief protection and had traveled everywhere just to find him. And she, his own sister, Hua Wandu took a deep breath. She spoke solemnly. Thank you, Miss Xia Yang. Thank you for helping him in his darkest hour. If you have any wishes or need any help, please just say it. Xia Yang shook her head. I don't need anything. I didn't post that to ask for something. I just wanted everyone to know that he was a good kid. He didn't deserve to be misunderstood like that. CEO Huo, if you really want to do something for him, then live a good life. Don't let his death be in vain. Xia Yang's words were exactly like Nian Nian's advice in the dream, striking Hua Wandu's heart. After leaving the cafe, Wandu followed the clues Xia Yang provided. To the old slums. Years had passed and the area had been cleared. A new shopping mall had risen in its place. She stood in the middle of a busy intersection, trying to imagine how Nian Nian had struggled to survive there, how he dodged that creepy landlord, how happy he must have been over just 10 RMB from a part-time gig. Her chest tightened with the wave after wave of pain. She visited the supermarket mentioned in the diary, then the market, and even found that veterinary clinic. The vet was still there. Hua Wandu took out a photo of Hua Nian. It was a photo on her phone, one of him laughing carefree at 17. The owner looked closely for a long time, then shook his head. Too many pets come through every day, I don't really remember. Hua Wandu didn't give up. She described longevity's appearance. A small, pale yellow local dog with a previously injured leg. The owner frowned, thinking for a long time. A faint memory surfaced. I have a slight impression, but the specific details, I can't recall. Hua Wandu wasn't discouraged. Using her connections, she found the local officer who handled Hua Nian's case back then. The old officer, nearing retirement, still had a very deep impression of it. He took Hua Wandu to the small forest by the river where Hua Nian's body was found. The old officer pointed to a large tree by the riverbank and sighed. That boy, man, it was heartbreaking to see. Just lying there, so quiet, like he was just sleeping. We investigated for a long time but found no evidence of foul play. We read the diary too, it really was suicide. He didn't have much, just that teddy bear, the diary, and some loose change. We followed protocol and posted notices, but no one ever came to claim him. The old officer looked at Hua Wandu and held back the rest of his words. Hua Wandu stood under that tree. An early summer breeze rustled the leaves. Sunlight filtered through the branches, leaving dappled spots of light. It was so quiet here. You could hear the sound of the water trickling. Did Nian Nian choose to end his life here because it was a bit closer to mom and dad? In his final moments, looking at this peaceful forest, what was he thinking? Was he remembering their childhood? The days mom and dad took them on picnics? She knelt down, gently stroking the rough bark of the tree, as if she could still feel the last bit of her brother's warmth. Tears fell silently onto the ground. Nian Nian, sis is here. I'm sorry I'm late, she whispered softly. Her voice broke in the wind. Finally, Hua Wandu went to her parents' burial site. Next to her parents' joint grave, she found a small, inconspicuous mound of earth. According to the diary, this had to be where Longevity was buried. The mound was covered in green grass and blooming nameless wildflowers. She carefully cleared the weeds around it. Then, next to Longevity's small grave, she personally buried a small, exquisite urn. Inside were the ashes of the original diary. She had someone use a special technique to cremate the diary without causing pollution, then brought these remains back. She stroked the small mound. Longevity, thank you for staying by Nian Nian's side during his final days. Now keep him company here, okay? Stay with mom and dad too. After finishing everything, Hua Wandu stood before her parents' grave. Looking at their kind photos on the headstone, she bowed deeply 3 times. Her voice was calm but firm. Mom, Dad, I'm sorry, I didn't take good care of my brother. But I promise you, from now on, I will live for Nian Nian too. I'll live well. I'll make sure Nian Nian's passing means something. Back in the city, Hua Wandu made a major decision. She held a press conference, announcing she would use most of her personal wealth to fund a charity foundation. The newly established Longevity Foundation. The charity primarily aimed at 2 goals. 1. Supporting underprivileged teenage cancer patients with medical costs and counseling. 2. Rescuing stray animals, building shelters, and setting up a standardized adoption system. At the press conference, for the first time in public, Hua Wandu calmly spoke of her brother, Hua Nian. She didn't give too many details. She only said, my brother, Hua Nian, received kindness from strangers during his life. He also felt the transience and hardships of life. This foundation is to honor him and to help those who, like him, are going through illness and adversity. I hope every life is treated with tenderness and every bit of kindness is passed on. Her actions shocked the business world and moved countless ordinary people. The voices that once doubted or mocked her were gradually replaced by understanding and respect. Everyone finally realized that behind the cold CEO Huo lay a tragic, heart-wrenching past and a journey of redemption. The foundation's work quickly got underway. Hua Wandu personally participated in project assessments, visited the children in the hospitals, and went to the shelters to see the small animals waiting for adoption. During this process, a genuine, gentle expression would occasionally appear on her face. Though the sadness in her eyes never truly faded, she seemed to have found a way to live in peace with her pain. She frequently visited a pediatric hospital funded by the foundation, sitting outside the wards, watching the children fighting their illnesses. There was a little boy with the exact same condition as Hua Nian. Due to chemotherapy, his hair was all gone, but he still smiled at her optimistically. In that moment, Hua Wandu felt like she was seeing Nian Nian. As a child, she walked over, gently patted the boy's head, and gave him a brand new motorcycle model. The boy's bright, surprised smile sent a gentle wave of warmth through her icy heart. She tried to help Xia Yang again, offering to invest in a repair shop to fulfill her dream. But Xia Yang declined once more. CEO Huo, I appreciate the gesture. Xia Yang smiled freely. But I still want to earn money with my own 2 hands. Besides, I'm currently volunteering at the foundation, helping coordinate rescues for stray animals. I feel my life is meaningful and complete. Maybe this is what Nian Nian wanted to see. We're both living well in our own ways. Hua Wandu didn't push any further. She respected Xia Yang's choice. She also silently thanked fate that in her brother's final moments, he met someone as honorable as her. Back then, he'd always say steamed buns with a bit of soy sauce were a world-class delicacy. Xia Yang said, quite calmly while looking out the window. Honestly, I knew he was just so hungry he couldn't take it anymore. But every time he mentioned it, his eyes sparkled as if he were eating a feast. Hua Wandu listened in silence, her nails digging into her palms. She had to press her nails deep into her skin to keep from bursting into tears. These details were far more specific than the words in the diary, and they were even more heartbreaking. Every heartbeat felt like a sharp cut. Now she knew it all. She knew how Nian Nian survived the winter, eating steamed buns with cold water. She knew he was in so much pain he trembled in the corner of the bed, yet never uttered a word. She also knew about that little dog, Longevity, who stayed by him in his saddest moments, using its wet tongue to lick away his tears. She got the address from Siayang, the slum where Nian Nian used to live. Even though the place had long been demolished and was now covered in high-rise buildings, she would often drive there and just park by the curb, doing nothing. Just silently staring at those new buildings, imagining her brother dragging his sick body, struggling to survive day by day in that place. She still handled company business efficiently, but that desperate workaholic drive from before had faded quite a bit. She delegated more power and no longer felt the need to oversee every little thing personally. Outsiders said that after her brother's tragedy, CEO Huo had seen the light and dedicated herself to charity. Only her assistant Lin Yi knew that Huo Wandu's heart was never truly at peace. The copy of the diary in her office had edges that were completely worn out. Beside it sat a large pile of documents. Everything from liver cancer treatments to end-of-life care and psychological intervention. It was as if she were working on a massive research project where the subject was the brother she owed so much to. Her goal seemed to be within her own mind, wanting to rewrite that unchangeable past over and over again. Time flew by. 3 years had passed since that diary livestream shocked the nation. The Nian Longevity Foundation had helped thousands of families. Huo Wandu received many honors because of it. But on a drizzly afternoon, she received a phone call. It was from a nursing home. It was Huo Wu, her adoptive brother. It was an international call from abroad. On the phone, Huo Wu's voice was hesitant and worried. "Sis, I was cleaning out the old things you left in the house abroad and found a hidden photo album. It's full of photos of Huo Nian as a child. There are also some notes you wrote when you were younger. Fragments of a diary that no one has ever seen. I've looked through them and discovered a few things. Maybe even you forgot what happened around the time Mom and Dad died? Some faded truths seem to have been intentionally hidden." Huo Wandu's hand holding the phone trembled. The rain outside tapped against the glass, sounding like her own uneasy heart. She told Huo Wu to send the items back. A few days later, the package arrived. Besides the album, there were several yellowed pages. They were notes from Huo Wandu's teenage years. The handwriting was a bit scribbled, showing her agitation at the time. Looking back, it was the night before her parents' car accident. A heated argument had broken out in the house. They were fighting over a major company decision. Dad insisted on taking a huge gamble, and Mom supported him. But the young Huo Wandu had fiercely opposed them, even saying out of anger, "If you do this, you'll drag us all down." The diary was filled with resentment over her parents' stubbornness and fear for the future. The last line read, "If this family falls apart one day, it'll definitely be their fault." These words, buried by time, were like a rusty key that suddenly swung open Huo Wandu's mind. A door that had been locked tight in her memory. She suddenly collapsed into her chair. Cold sweat broke out over her body. She finally remembered the day her parents died. Because they had fought the night before, she hadn't even gone to see them off. And for all those years afterward, the extreme grief and guilt had made her choose to forget this unpleasant memory. She only remembered how good her parents were to her and how helpless she had been. Turns out, while Nian Nian was suffering through his illness alone, in my subconscious, I was also carrying another layer of self-blame regarding my parents' deaths. I thought Nian Nian leaving was a punishment for my uselessness, but I never considered that this might be destiny, karma, for my heartless words back then. This crushing guilt almost broke her completely. She locked herself in her office for 2 full days. When she finally emerged, she spoke to Lin Yi. "I want to visit Nian Nian, Longevity, and Dad in Mom's cemetery." Nian Nian and Longevity's joint grave was right next to their parents. This was an arrangement she had made later. The smile of the boy in the photo was still just as bright. Longevity sat obediently at his feet. Huo Wandu, wearing a black coat, stood in the drizzling rain. She didn't even use an umbrella. She stared at the photo on the headstone for a long time before slowly kneeling down. She didn't cry. She just used her fingers to gently wipe the raindrops off the photo. "Nian Nian, I think I finally understand a bit. I thought I just wasn't good enough, and that's why I lost you. But thinking back, maybe even earlier than that, our family's fate was pushed onto a path full of hardships. Dad insisted on the risk, and Mom supported him wholeheartedly. Back then, I was too headstrong, and then there was your cruel illness. Everything mixed together led to this end. I was wrong. Wrong for saying those horrible things when I was young and foolish. Wrong for spending all those years obsessed with proving myself that I didn't recognize you. My fault is that after knowing the truth, I only knew how to torment myself. I almost forgot your last wish. You said you hoped I'd be happy for the rest of my life. Before, I thought that was impossible. Without you, where would I find happiness?" She paused, raindrops running down her hair, mixing with the tears at the corners of her eyes that she finally couldn't hold back. "But now, I want to try to make it happen. I will continue in your stead, using the foundation to help more kids like you. I will run the company well, turning it into a place that can help even more people. I will also try to truly accept my current life, including Huo Wu, That kid hasn't had it easy either. Nian Nian. Maybe I'll never be able to fully forgive myself, but I promise you I won't let myself drown in the past anymore. I will live a good, meaningful life while carrying my memories of you. This is the only thing you want to see, right? She leaned forward, gently resting her forehead against the cold headstone, as if she could feel a response coming from the other side of life and death. The rain gradually stopped, and a faint ray of sunlight pierced through the clouds, shining down on the grave and the bouquet of white chrysanthemums she had just placed. Raindrops on the petals sparkled. Huawandu stood up. She took one last look at her brother's photo and turned to walk away. Her footsteps were no longer as heavy as when she arrived. Though still slow, they were now peaceful and steady. Wind blew through the pine forest beside the cemetery, the rustling leaves sounding like a sigh of relief, a whisper of a burden being lifted. The story of forgiveness and redemption seemed to draw to a close here. About how to move forward while carrying one's wounds, Huawandu's life had finally turned the page on its most painful and tragic chapter, to begin writing the next ones. In those pages, there will surely be an unquenchable longing, but perhaps also a gradual creeping in of her own peaceful light. Huawandu's pace of life changed quietly. She was still as busy as ever, but it was no longer the self-punishing kind of busy, a busyness that was almost manic. She began seeing a therapist regularly to face the complex emotions deep in her heart. About her parents' deaths, the overprotectiveness she had for Huanian that stemmed from it, and the shame that followed. The process wasn't easy. She often faced insomnia and mood swings, but she persevered. The relationship between her and Huowu also entered a new stage. After receiving the old album and those diary fragments, for the first time, she proactively made a long international call to Huowu. She didn't over-explain the past troubles, but simply thanked him sincerely for helping her see the hidden corners she had forgotten. She told Huowu she understood the distance and insecurity he might be feeling, and clearly affirmed that whether they were blood-related or not, they were still family now. She hoped to build a more genuine bond with him in the future. Sis, take care of your health. The Nian Longevity Foundation, through her continuous investment and professional management, kept expanding in scale. She didn't just stop at financial support, but began forming a team of professional medical and social workers to provide psychological support and end-of-life care. At the foundation's annual gala, a young girl who had been helped held her hand. The girl choked back tears. Auntie Huo, thank you and Huo Nian for giving me a second life. In that moment, Huowandu felt not just a surge of comfort, but a strange sense of peace. It's as if Nian Nian's life is continuing in a different way. She still visits the memorial park often, but she no longer drowns in sorrow. Sometimes she brings a bouquet of sunflowers, which Nian Nian loved. Sometimes she just sits quietly for a while, telling them about the foundation's recent progress, or venting about troubles at the company, just like when her brother was still around. Once, she even placed a brand new toy in front of Longevity's small grave. Longevity, make sure to take good care of him, okay? Time flew by and 2 more years passed. After a business forum concluded, Huowandu happened to run into an old acquaintance in the hotel lobby. It was the person who first found the diary and hosted the live stream, Reporter Lin. Reporter Lin was now a famous figure in the media, with salt and pepper hair at his temples. Reporter Lin smiled and walked over to greet her, a faint, hard-to-detect trace of guilt flickering in his eyes. CEO Huo, long time no see. Huowandu nodded back with a gentle demeanor. Reporter Lin, I hope you've been well. The two sat down at the hotel cafe. After some small talk, Reporter Lin hesitated for a moment before speaking. CEO Huo, have you been living well these past few years? Huowandu gently stirred the coffee in her hand. Her gaze drifted to the bustling street scene outside the window. She spoke slowly. Not exactly great, but not exactly bad either. I've learned how to reconcile with myself and live with the past. Maybe this is what growth is, though the price I paid was a bit high. That diary changed a lot of people, including me. It helped me understand the fragility of life and the weight of family more deeply. I've always wanted to find a chance to officially thank you and apologize for exposing the truth that way. I'm the one who should be saying thank you. You brought Nian Nian's final words to me. Though the process was painful, if it weren't for that diary, I might have lived forever in lies I wove myself. That would have been the true injustice to him. After a moment of silence, Reporter Lin seemed to make up his mind. He took a slightly yellowed manila envelope out of his briefcase. He pushed it toward Huowandu. Huowandu was a bit puzzled. What is this? This was found when gathering Huonian's belongings back then. It was kept with the diary. At the time, I felt the timing wasn't right, so I kept it myself. Now, I feel it's time to return it to you? Huowandu's heart skipped a beat. She took a deep breath and carefully opened the envelope. Inside wasn't a letter, but a color drawing that had faded slightly. The paper was clearly torn from a notebook, the edges uneven. The drawing was a scene meticulously detailed with colored pencils. A bright blue sky, radiant sunshine, a lush green meadow, and a girl with a ponytail. with a radiant smile. It was clearly a young Huo Wandu holding the hand of a little Huo Nian with one hand and a small yellow dog with the other. Longevity. Their parents stood behind them, faces full of happy smiles. In the top left corner, in shaky but very careful handwriting, it said, "My family, author, Huo Nian, wish. I hope sis is happy forever." On the back, there was a smaller, messier line added later in darker ink. "Sis, I'm sorry and I love you." Tears instantly blurred Huo Wandu's vision. She could almost see that boy, gaunt and weakened by illness, enduring the pain in his final moments using his trembling hands to draw his heart's greatest desire, stroke by stroke. But it was a reunion that could never happen again. He had no resentment, only regret and love. She clutched the fragile paper like it was the most precious treasure on earth, tears streaming onto the drawing. She rushed to wipe them with her fingertips, afraid of blurring the traces her brother left behind. Huo Wandu choked out to reporter Lin and to herself, "He was always thinking of me." Reporter Lin's eyes reddened as he nodded silently. That night, Huo Wandu carefully framed the drawing. She hung it in the study, right next to the copy of the diary. She stood before it and stared for a long, long time. In the days to follow, Huo Wandu would still be the legendary figure in the business world, still the powerful founder of the Nian Foundation. But deep in her heart, there was a small corner, forever reserved for that 18-year-old boy and his gentle dog. She no longer tried to forget, choosing instead to etch it into her soul. Carrying this heavy love, she continued her journey through the world, striving to live the way he wanted her to. She knew that the rainy seasons of life might return, but in her heart, for herself and for Nian Nian, she had raised a warm and eternal umbrella. The ending wasn't a grand reunion, but at least it moved toward a truthful completion. Despite the scars, Huo Wandu's life gradually formed a new normal. The drawing titled "My Family" was like a tiny beam of light, shining into the coldest corner of her heart. She hadn't escaped the pain, but it had miraculously dissolved some of that sharp self-reproach. She realized that Nian Nian left her not just pain and regret, but love and blessings. This realization gave her the real strength to keep moving forward. She began to proactively plan her life more, not just focusing on work. She picked up the oil painting brushes she had loved in her youth. She signed up for an art class on weekends. In the studio, smelling faintly of turpentine, the feeling of the brush gliding over the canvas made her feel a peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She painted landscapes and animals, but never tried to paint people, especially family, because that one drawing was Nian Nian's masterpiece. She couldn't bear to replicate it. The relationship between her and Huo Wu became more natural as well. After graduating from college, Huo Wu chose to build his career domestically. He didn't join the Huo group, relying instead on his own abilities to get a job at a tech startup. Huo Wandu respected his choice. Only when he encountered professional hurdles would she offer advice as a senior rather than an order. Occasionally, they'd have a meal together, chatting about work and life like a pair of siblings with a very harmonious bond. Once Huo Wu brought his girlfriend to meet her. The girl was a bit nervous. Huo Wandu smiled gently, gave them a red envelope, and told them to be good to each other. In that moment, she almost saw it. If Nian Nian were still alive, as his sister, she would likely be experiencing scenes just like this. The Nian Longevity Foundation's influence grew stronger and stronger. They began collaborating with top domestic medical and scientific research institutions, funding early liver cancer screenings and targeted drug research. Huo Wandu was no longer just an investor. She personally participated in project discussions, offering suggestions from a family member's perspective. During a project evaluation seminar, a young researcher excitedly reported on a new testing technology. This new testing technology had the potential to increase the detection rate of early-stage liver cancer by 30%. Huo Wandu listened, her eyes growing a bit warm. She remembered that when Nian Nian was diagnosed, it was already terminal. She clenched her palms to suppress the rising emotions. If there had been a chance for earlier detection, she became even more firm in her resolve to support these studies. Time passed quietly until an autumn afternoon. Huo Wandu received a call from the nursing home. It wasn't about logistics, but about Xia Yang. Xia Yang had fallen ill. She had collapsed from overwork, and the situation was grim. She hoped to see her one last time. Huo Wandu immediately canceled her entire schedule and drove to that small city. The hospital room smelled strongly of disinfectant. Xia Yang was much thinner than she remembered. Her face pale, but her eyes were as clear as ever. Seeing Huo Wandu, Xia Yang managed a weak smile. "CEO Huo, you're here." Huo Wandu sat by the bed, gently taking her hand, her voice thick. "Don't call me CEO Huo anymore, just call me Wandu." Xia Yang shook her head, gasping for breath. "I'm used to it. Besides, you are CEO Huo." I don't have much time left. There's something I've thought about for a long time, and I feel I should tell you." Huo Wandu's heart tightened. "Go ahead." Xia Yang looked toward the window, as if reminiscing. Before Nian Nian left, he actually left a message for you. It wasn't in the diary. That day, he was in very bad shape, in intense pain, drifting in and out of consciousness. He took my hand and called me Sis Yang Yang. If my sister finds out later, please help me tell her. Oh, Xia Yang paused, her breathing a bit rapid. Hua Wandu quickly brought some water. She waved it away and insisted on continuing. He said, tell her not to be sad for too long. Must find someone who can stay by her side and take care of her. Don't let her be lonely again like mom and dad were. And also, she must eat hot meals every day. Her voice grew weaker and weaker. The last words were almost so faint they couldn't be heard. Hwawandu's tears fell silently. Don't be sad for too long. Find a life partner and eat hot meals every day. That was her younger brother's final wish. Hwawandu choked up, burying her face in Xia Yang's palms. This foolish child, he never once blamed her. He always said his sister was the best sister in the world. A few days later, Xia Yang passed away peacefully. Hwawandu buried her next to Nian Nian's grave and laid down a bouquet of sunflowers. Now you can go and reunite with him. She began to take eating seriously, hiring an auntie specifically to cook soup and occasionally learning how to work the kitchen herself. The warmth in the kitchen made her feel at peace. One sunset, Huowu called to report that the project was a success. Hearing that voice full of life, Hwawandu listened and her lips instinctively curled into a smile. She went into the study and looked at that portrait. This time, she didn't shed any tears. Instead, she softly promised she would live well and move forward carrying everyone's love. She still visited the cemetery frequently, but it was like visiting an old friend, bringing a pot of tea and talking about recent events. That drawing had been moved to the bedroom to remind her of the presence of precious love. The Nian Longevity Foundation had gathered hundreds of thousands of people. The early screening project had saved many lives. Whenever she heard such news, the regret in her heart eased a little. At an international charity forum, someone said Nian longevity is full of Eastern philosophy. Remembering the deceased is a way to cherish current life. Hwawandu smiled with relief. This has truly become the path I am pursuing. Huowu's project was a success, and he started making a name for himself in the tech world. He brought his girlfriend Lin Bai to meet her, the braised pork. The girl maid tasted exactly like her mother's cooking. A wave of warmth rose in Hwawandu's heart. 15 years passed, and Hwawandu's temples were touched with gray. Her gaze became even more serene as she gradually stepped down from power, focusing on strategy and charity. The garden was planted full of sunflowers and white chrysanthemums. When a documentary director contacted her wanting to film the story of Nian longevity, she pondered for a long time before agreeing, but requested it be authentic. The focus should be on the work of the charity foundation. Under the lens, she was composed and capable. When mentioning the foundation, her eyes sparkled with light. How did she overcome that darkness? It wasn't about overcoming it, but learning to carry it. Those we love become a part of us. Nian longevity is about carrying longing to create more hope for life. The documentary resonated deeply. Her story became a model for rebuilding after a collapse. At Huowu's wedding, she looked at the newlyweds on stage and for a moment saw Nian Nian's shadow. Some people, even if they can't be here, are surely happy for us. Sis, you must be truly happy. Hwawandu had become a grandmother. She had a granddaughter named Nian Tin. The little girl's eyes were very much like the Nian Nian in her memories. She pushed the stroller through the sunflower garden. Look, this is your granduncle and longevity. They love you very much. When Nian Ting was 3 years old, the cry of grandma was clear and soft, brushing over her heart. Hwawandu began spending time telling fairy tales to the little girl, but never mentioned that heavy name again. Yula had become an icon, and the Nian Longevity Foundation grew stronger every day. She retired to the background, tending the garden and watching the flowers bloom and fade. Nian Ting pointed at the brightest star. Grandma, look at that sparkling star. Hwawandu said gently, maybe your granduncle is watching over us. On her 71st birthday, she received a handmade 3-piece photo album. The first page was a redrawing of my family. Nian Ting wrote, great-grandpa, great-grandma, granduncle, longevity, and us on the blank pages. Finally, she wrote that they would fill the future days together. Hwawandu lightly brushed her fingertips over the photo. Her eyes welled up as her lips curled into a smile. This gift told her that Nian Nian had never been forgotten. He had merged warmly into the family's memories. In her twilight years, she gathered the old mementos, labeling them so Nian Nian would know the family's roots. Drawing her final breath, CEO Huo, who devoted her life to charity, passed away peacefully. As she left, she tearfully called out to her parents and Nian Nian. Is everyone coming to pick me up? I'm sorry, I didn't take good care of Nian Nian. I've never seen an elderly person cry so heartbreakingly. Yet when she passed, CEO Huo looked very serene. So, finally, she was reunited with her family. But not in this world.